Welcome to Floating Away, how to mitigate long floats.
Alright, so today on CJ's Knits we are going to reuse card 6 and we're going to try and mitigate the extremely long floats using the many different methods that we have available to mitigate floats. So, stay with me and we'll get this done. The first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go over 24 stitches with an E-wrap. So bow tie to bow tie, actually double E-wrap. Just outside your purview here. Hang on one second. I already see I have a big yarn frog here. Oh, there it goes. Oh, well, that wasn't very nice. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put some weight on this and then we'll come back. Okay, I have chosen my color. We're going to put the carriage into KC, bring it across, various needles are popped out. Color number 2, MC is pushed, and I'm going to knit back. Okay, so what you see here are what can be called reasonable floats, but the way that we would mitigate them, push it back, put it on top, and that is called laddering. Really easy. One, two. Oh, boy, that really caused a mess, didn't it? Okay. 1 second, please. I'm not sure why it did what it did. That should be under. Oh, you know what? I have a little, it's a little latch here. If I remember correctly, I had issues with it last time too. So I'm going to mark this one for replacement. 1 second, please. Okay, no harm, no foul. We'll keep an eye on it. So we did one ladder. We're going to do it again, only on the left-hand side. Going to knit across and back again. Okay, going to ladder, Now I should have been laddering each row, my bad. Go again. Oh, I forgot to unlock my punch card. My bad. So only on the... Oh, see, here's a huge one that's coming up. So we will knit across. And you see how long that yarn float is. I'm not sure what's happening with that one. I'm going to mark it as well. Okay, here we have another large yarn float. This one can come up here. Okay, you can see that we've tied them in pretty good. Right in there especially. And now we're going to do the next one. So, take a deep breath, starting a new video. This one was laddering. The next one is going to be using a trace line. How do we use a trace line? Well, we pick one of our yarns and we cut several long lengths of our yarn, and we're going to start putting them over select stitches, this time on the right hand side. Because this is such a small sample, we will just do the a few rows. So how we start is we have our lengths and we literally just flop over every 5th stitch. So stitch 5, I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail, and just for posterity, stitch 10. And put a clip on it. Now, we're not going to do anything on the left hand side, we're only going to work on the right hand side. Just going to let it flow. Every time it's on the, well, every single row, we're just going to flip this stitch over, and I only have the weight on the long end. Doesn't matter. Only on the 5th. Just going to make these a little bit longer. On the 5th, on the 10th. On the 5th, on the 10th. Fifth, even though I know that in the center here it's getting really nasty, but that'll give you a really good idea on how this works. Split this one. 5th, 10th. Probably should have put it on like the 3rd. You can see how it's nicely locking that in. We'll actually switch this one to be on right 1 in about a minute. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over number 1. This one's still on 10. And this one I'm just going to put over that way. So now we're just switching to like 8 and 1. So there's 1. Here's 8. Going across. Color 2 has run out. I gotta find a different color 2. Okay, here's number 1. Here's number 8. Going across. Okay, I think you pretty much get the idea on this. So that is those two. I'm going to take it off the machine and then we'll take a look. Okay, before I actually take it off here, you can see that it's pretty cool looking. Take it out of patterning. And now let's look at what the front does. Where I forgot to unlock, not a big deal. There's a little bit extra texture here where I did the extra yarn float, but in the grand scheme you won't really see it. Looks pretty cool. So we have this here extra yarn and this here extra yarn. On the other side it made it pronounced. The yarn floats here, you barely even see them. So this is where I did the yarn floating. However, in between here you can definitely see them. So that's kind of sucky. In the next video we're going to look at felting. So I'm going to turn this off and then we'll go to felting. Okay, felting requires some extra tools. You need a felting block, like this one, and a felting tool. Now I have the clover felting tool, which I unlock, and I simply just stab the material. Is this fast? Nope. Is it satisfying? Yep. Can you felt any material? Nope. Normally you can't felt acrylic. It does not hold, but you can felt wool. So if you have a wool project, this is a good way to mitigate those pesky yarn floats. And there you can see that they're laying down pretty good, as opposed to this side and up here. Now you can see that it's a little bit fuzzy, but that's okay. That is actually the nature of this yarn. So that's not so bad. It looks pretty cool. And one way to secure it after you felt it is to sew it. So you can use a sewing machine now that it's felted with a rolling foot or a walking foot, and you can just sew over top. In the longest straight stitch or basting stitch, and you'll still have most of your drape. So there's your other option. In the next video, we're going to look at covering the yarn floats. This is basically the same method I used to make my pockets. So come back and we'll knit a pocket lining. To be clear, you would not normally use a double E wrap to do this method. You would usually use waste yarn, and then you will E-wrap this stage. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to use a double E-wrap so I don't have to touch it twice. You can see that the yarn I'm using is extremely thin. This is so that it shows up and you can actually see the yarn floats in behind it when we're done. This is basically going to be a mesh fabric that will cover the yarn floats. I'm not worried about yarn looping on the end here, but just to make you happy, I'll free it. Alright, everybody comes forward. Resetting my row counter to all zeros. I'm now going to knit 20 rows. For some reason, I have stuff catching. Not sure why. Okay, so that's 20 rows of mesh. I now need to remove the mesh so that it's not going to fall apart. So I'm going to find some other waste yarn, and then we'll come back. Okay, I found a nice high contrast, increased my tension. Okay, I'm going to break all the rules and I'm just going to latch tool this off. Okay, so I'm going to take off my clip and take off the cast-on comb, won't need it. Now I'm going to set up for the punch card again, and then we're going to use the mesh. Okay, so let's set up the punch card again. bringing everybody forward, opening up the latches, putting the lock, the punch card, clip it. I think I'm missing a clip. One second. Nope, I put it down somewhere silly. Okay. You've seen this 1,000 times, but you might as well see it 1,000 times more. Weights. Now, bring these all forward just a little bit. And now we're going to hang our mesh back on the machine. So, find your first one. And your last one. I guess if we want this to be the right way around, we should make sure the pearl side is facing us. Last one. There. The beauty about this is it doesn't really matter if you're perfect on this one. This is just the demo. But when you actually have E-wrap and not double E-wrap, you will want to put the needles on properly. I'm not trying very hard on this one. Just as long as you have it, more or less. Yeah, it looks good. Just going to push these all forward. Turning my carriage to KC. Going to move my camera so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now we're going to knit across. We're in KC. The needles popped out. Unlocking the punch card. Resetting our row counter to 1. Because this is the first actual row. Pressing MC and bringing some really interesting colors into the mix. Going to clip these. And now we are going to knit 20 rows in fancy, fancy colors. First row is always the hardest. I'm not even, oh, okay, we got that one that was naughty again. I'm gonna fix it. Okay, it's fine. We're now going to continue with our 20 rows without any worries about the yarn floats. Who's pulling? Oh, that again. My bad. Okay, so this is row 20. Now we're going to take our mesh, flip it over, and we're going to hang each stitch from the orange onto each stitch here. Oh, we're also going to lock our punch card because we don't need it now. So every stitch, because these are live stitches, goes on its friend. Oop, sorry. So what is this handy for? If you have a sweater with just a little bit of virile in the, let's say around the chest, this is a good way to hide those yarn floats from heads and fingers, or even inside of a sleeve, because nobody wants their fingers to get caught in a yarn float. And you should have one loop for every single stitch. Okay, bring these all forward, turning off patterning, cutting my second thread. I know it's super colorful. Now I'm just going to knit a couple rows. Of course it's being naughty. And now we'll take it off, we'll take a look. Okay, here we go. So we see that we have the beautiful pattern in this wonderful yarn. And on the back, as we tangle every single yarn tail, you cannot access those yarn floats. And they are safe behind the mesh. This is really great if you're doing a double-lined sweater and then you have your liner already done. It's twice the work, but it's amazing.
Is there more? Absolutely. But I'm out of time for today.